For many of you, what I'm about to say might be a big surprise. Others may already know, and most of you just plain don't know me. My name is Marianthi. I'm a sophomore at Sandburg High School. I'm a normal and outgoing teenage girl, and I'm a cancer survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma, a cancer of the lymph nodes. It was in 7th grade. It was in 7th grade when unusual things started to come up in my life. About 3 years ago from today, I'd noticed golf ball-sized lymph nodes on the side of my neck, making for great pains and basic everyday activities. When I first discovered these enormous bumps in my neck, I was in the shower and started to cry hysterically when the thought of it being a tumor had come up in my mind. I had become anemic following the loss of my appetite and weight. My life as a 13-year-old was slowly getting worse, and little did we know that it wouldn't even be the beginning of it. 2 weeks, we struggled trying to find out, and even more weeks came, and we struggled to find out what was really going on. It was a very emotional time for my family and I. Finally, after taking a number of scans and blood tests, we get our first idea of what's really going on at Hope Hospital, where they tell us that I would need a biopsy to check for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Terrified of what they told us, we left there and were recommended by my uncle to go to Children's Memorial Hospital downtown. On a late evening in the end of February, we went to Children's, where they told us the exact same thing. By this point, our lives had turned upside down and everything went so fast. They scheduled a biopsy to be done within the next 2 days and admitted us into the 4th floor of the hospital. That night, at 2 in the morning, we were sent up to the room with tears streaming down our faces and with a horrid fear of what was to come next. When walking into the room, I remember the first thing I saw. Sleeping in the bed next to mine was a girl with no hair, about the same age as I was. When I saw that girl, we knew it wasn't going to be okay. That night was the first time I'd ever seen my dad and my uncle cry before. And that night, my mom and I slept in the same bed, cradled in each other's arms, and cried each other to sleep, hoping that it was all just a nightmare. The next morning, we discovered that it wasn't a nightmare as we had hoped. The biopsy had come, and it was time to go through with the first of my many surgeries. Still extremely terrified, we eagerly waited for the results. On the morning of March 1st, 2007, at approximately 6 in the morning, my doctor, Dr. Walterhouse, had come into our room to tell us about the diagnosis. I noticed the serious look on his face, and I instinctively woke up my mom, only to receive the most life-changing news we were ever to encounter. Dr. Walterhouse told us that what I had was called Hodgkin's lymphoma, and to this day I remember the exact words he said to us. "You need to know that this is treatable and curable." He shortly left after saying some things to my mom, and I fell right back asleep. I thought that it was all a dream, but when I woke a couple hours later, it was then that it hit me, and it hit me hard. I woke up to my mom crying on the phone, crying so hard I couldn't believe. From what I later learned, she hadn't fallen back asleep after like I did. That moment, when seeing my mom cry as she did, made me realize that what had just happened, just hours before, was all reality. That cancer was real, and that I was a victim of it. As time went on, we had to realize that we had to go on as well. Through other scans and surgeries, we found that it had spread to both sides of my neck and to my left femur, giving me the stage of 4B, the worst stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma. From there, we began chemotherapy, which was to be followed by radiation therapy. For countless months, I endured the horrible wrath of chemo and its side effects. I suffered through many infections while praying with all of my might to God every single day for Him to kill me so that I didn't have to go through it with anymore. Throwing up at least 8 times a day was lucky for me then, because I threw up constantly from all the toxins. I dropped about 94 pounds to 72 pounds with my white blood cell count reaching as low as 0.37. Not to mention, I was completely bald and extremely self-conscious, especially when I would get constant stares from every person I came across. It was the worst of all possible living nightmares anyone could ever imagine. And as time went on with great difficulty, I eventually went into remission with the help of God and loved ones. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would be standing up in front of hundreds and hundreds of students sharing my experience with cancer. Sometimes, even to this day, I don't believe that I went through a living hell like that. It's times like today, though, that I remember, and not in a bad way. I remember proudly of what I have been through. Hodgkin's will always be a part of my life, whether new medical troubles arise or I'm just looking back on all the old scars. Whatever it is, though, it's going to make me unbelievably stronger, physically and mentally, just like having cancer has made me now. As weird as it may sound, I'm glad I had cancer, because now I have changed so much and realized a great deal on life. In fact, my life's purpose is almost clear to me now. I try so hard every day to appreciate, enjoy everything, because I know what it's like to be on the other side now. I have my bad days like anyone else, and I've gotten through them by myself or with help. Before all of this, the thought never crossed my mind of me having cancer. There was no history of cancer in my family at all, and I was completely a healthy child growing up. Hodgkin's came into my life entirely out of nowhere and with few warning signs at all. Everyone here needs to understand how precious life is before, God forbid, something happens and your life is on the line. If someone needs help along the way, that's what we as mankind should do, help. Things happen all the time. We all have bad days, fights with our friends, or family, and heartbreaks. Basically, we all make mistakes, and it's okay. Life goes on, and before you know it, we're all grown up, with our lives halfway over. Why waste time with grudges and arguments when we can do the opposite and live a joyful life? Trust me, I understand. It's easier said than done, but we can always try. On behalf of all cancer patients around the world, I would like to thank all of you here today for everything. Most of all, thank you for your continuous hope, which is truly one of the most important factors that goes into surviving cancer. To all of my fellow peers, one simple task: appreciate everything, because it can all change in 1 second. Love everyone, realize that things happen for a reason, and remember that there is always a rainbow after every storm, even if the storm is months long, like mine was. My greatest hope is that my story can reach your hearts and can help you understand the message I'm trying to get through to you today. To the people who are currently fighting their battle, I give you my heart, filled with love and hopefulness, for no one can understand the true torture that we go through. I wish you the best of luck, and I have so much faith that you will all make it through it. Like I said before, my name is Marianthi. I'm a sophomore at Sandburg High School. I'm a normal and outgoing teenage girl, but I have beaten cancer.